Hey everybody, welcome tonight. My name is Dr. Stacy. I'm excited you guys are here. We're going to share some fabulous information with you and then of course get all of your questions answered, whatever they may be. Just so you know, a lot of people do ask, what type of doctor are you? So I always like to start by giving that information right up front. I am a doctor of integrative medicine. I'm actually working on my PhD in functional medicine as well right now too. I'm about halfway through that. Getting ready to start functional neurology of the brain. The book's only like 700 pages long. This one's going to be a fun one. But anyways, you guys, I have been in holistic health for 20 years. I used to be a school teacher 30 years ago. I taught for 30 years. And then I've been into all different types of things holistic over the last 20 years. And so it has led me to where I am right now with LifeWave as part of my practice. My focus has always been on nutrition, supplementation, detoxification, helping the body to get back into balance, using many different tools and modalities over the last 20 years. Obviously, as you would imagine, I've been adding a lot of things to my toolbox over the time, but I'll share with you. And I just got off a Zoom with a few doctors. I don't know where you guys are located. Andy, are they down in Texas? I don't know. But I just got off a Zoom and I'll share with you what I shared with them. And that is definitely that this is the most effective, simple, affordable technology I have ever found in my entire life that works for every single person. And so that's what I'm going to share with you guys tonight, the science, the technology of how this patch works and how you can use it in what you're currently doing as well too. And then of course, answer whatever questions you guys have. But before we get started, I do want to let you know, because we have 50 people on here right now, obviously, I am not your physician, right? And if you have questions, you would definitely refer back to your doctor, your practitioner, your healthcare provider, and know that the information I'm going to share with you is not intended to treat or cure or diagnose anything. I'm really going to stay very focused on the clinical studies and how these patches work on the different systems and organs in the body. So know if you ask me questions about diseases or disorders or things like that, I'm going to reference the different systems and those systems that can help right in your body to be able to get things back into balance. So with that being said, this is what our technology looks like. If you're a guest here tonight, this is a non-transdermal patch. And I'm sure you're very familiar with patches. Transdermal patches, correct? Birth control patches, nicotine patches, pain patches, hormone patches. All of those patches are transferring, right? Transdermal. They are transferring a chemical or a substance into your body. And so this is the exact opposite. There is nothing being transferred, right? Non-transdermal, nothing being transferred into the body. So if there's nothing going in, how is this working? So this little patch that looks like a little Band-Aid is actually going to go on the back of your neck or below your belly button in the morning. You're going to leave it on 12 hours. During that 12 hours, it is going to activate, elevate, mobilize your own stem cells. It's going to upregulate over 6,000 of your genes to their perfect expression. How is that happening? It's happening because of our body's light communicating with this technology. We are light. I don't know where you guys are located right now, but it's getting dark here in Sarasota, Florida. And so when I go outside, after I get off this Zoom here in about 55 minutes, it's going to be completely dark, right? So I go out to take my dog out. And hopefully there's not a snake. We've seen 2 snakes in 24 hours. Hopefully there's not a bobcat or an alligator out there trying to eat my little poodle. But if there were, I could see these things through night vision goggles, right? I'm being very serious. Like these are the things I've seen in the last 24 hours outside my house or even in the gym. I think there was a rattlesnake in the gym earlier, honestly. I don't know. We got rid of it, but now looking at the pictures, I think it was a rattlesnake. But anyway, so looking through night vision goggles, you can see the shape of the body, right? Of the person or the creature because of the light being emitted or the heat being emitted off of the person. So you're following me with this? We emit light. We know that. When you apply this patch to your body's light reflects back a signal from the patch. So that signal is what's increasing your body's stem cell production. Now, how does that happen if there's nothing in the patch? What is this signal? What does that mean? So when you look at this, the white part, embedded in that is a crystal lattice structure. And I'm not talking about a clear quartz crystal or an amethyst or a tourmaline. I'm talking about a structure, a crystal lattice structure that's a biophotonic exchange of information, light communicating with light. So embedded in this patch is this structure. The structure is made up of organic amino acids and salts, water, oxygen, sugars, right? And so that proprietary blend is what makes up the lattice. The lattice is embedded in the patch. Our body's light communicates, it reflects back a signal from that patch, from that lattice. That signal increases our stem cell production through the pathway of what's called GHK-Cu. It's a copper peptide. Okay, we all have it. It declines as we age, just like our stem cell production does. And so this patch elevates the GHK-Cu. It elevates your collagen. It elevates your stem cell production. It upregulates over 6,000 of your genes. Now, how do we know this? Because we have clinical studies. Laura's going to type a website in the chat for you guys. That website will show you all of our clinical studies. We have over 90 clinical studies, double-blind, placebo, independent researchers and labs across the globe. So you can see the effectiveness of this technology working in the body. We can measure the amount of stem cells in the body. Did you guys know when you're born and when you're young, you have an abundance of stem cells? That's why kids have so much energy. They go nonstop. They ride their bikes. They fall down. They get up. They take off running. They fall out of a tree, break their arm, and they're gone the next day. Back out playing again. You don't see 5-year-olds with gray hair, or 10-year-olds with back pain, or 15-year-olds with heart disease because they have an abundance of stem cells constantly at work, repairing and regenerating and rejuvenating their body, keeping their bodies young and youthful, right? Well, as we age, we make less stem cells. We know that. This is Science 101. And so by the time you're in your 30s, you make about half the stem cells you did when you were a kid. Did you guys ever notice how many of you guys are in your 30s? Starting to get a few little crow's feet, maybe having a little bit of issues sleeping, or do you ever walk in a room and you're like, why did I walk in the room? And you turn around and walk back out and try to figure it out again? How about any kind of issues with your energy level, right? Do you feel like you had the same get up and go that you always did? Now think about for those of you that are in your 60s, or maybe you have parents in their 60s or beyond. By the time in your 60s, you're making less than 10% of the stem cells. What does that mean for repair in your body? What does that mean for the aging process and the ability to be able to have that best quality of life? We know that diminishes as we age, right? No matter what we do, we're aging. And so being able to signal your body to make more of its own stem cells, those stem cells go to work to repair and regenerate brand new, young, healthy, youthful stem cells. All of your cells and tissues and organs in whatever order your body needs. So I'm going to answer a couple basic questions that people always ask, and then we'll get into some Q&A, okay? So a lot of people want to know, what am I going to experience first? What am I going to notice? What am I going to feel? How long is it going to take? Well, I'm going to share with you stuff based on clinical studies. That's the information I'm going to share, okay? But I can tell you that initially what people experience is a pain reduction, a better quality of sleep, deep REM sleep. They notice more mental clarity and energy and concentration and focus. And they also notice more recovery from fitness and activity and faster wound healing. Those are some of the first things people notice. I know David says usually about half the people notice that in the first week or so, and the other half, it's going to be more around the 3 to 6 week mark, which is where we see in the clinical studies. For me personally, I didn't notice anything until about 3 or 4 weeks in. Things changed in my workouts. Laura slapped a patch on her shoulder. 20 minutes later, she had pain reduction. I'm like, okay. We slapped a patch on her husband. He slept better that night than he slept in his entire life, or at least as long as he can remember, right? And so we're all different. in what we're going to experience. But I'm going to share with you, like I said, based on clinical studies. Based on clinical studies, about 80% of the people experience those things that I mentioned in the first 3 to 6 weeks. Okay, some experience them sooner, but some it takes a little bit longer. We are all very different in what's going on inside of our body. Thank God our body knows how to repair itself, right? It has its own innate ability to know how to heal itself, right? When we cut our finger or if we break our bone, the Band-Aid or the cast don't do the healing. The body does. They may mobilize that wrist or cover up that cut, but the body goes to work and heal from the inside out because of the stem cells, right? And the process inside of the body. And so helping the body have more of its own stem cells, the body goes to work to do the regeneration process in whatever order your body needs. Some things else that we notice around that 3 to 6 week mark, we really start to see improvements in the nervous system. How many of you guys are stressed? We've got 56 of you on here tonight. Anybody stressed? Your nervous system shot? Are you in the fight or flight mode? Like, go, 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 nonstop. Right? Nobody is shaking their head. Yes. Okay. Just one person, iPhone, is smiling. Thank you, iPhone. There's Cindy. Okay. Thank you, Cindy. 2 people. Somebody else is like, yes, me, you're driving, focus on the road. Okay. So if your nervous system is shot, right, or you're stressed all the time, then your body has a really hard time repairing. And so we can see improvements in your nervous system around that 3 to 6 week mark. We also see improvements in the digestive system. You guys know your nervous system affects your digestive system, right? If you're like go, 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 fight or flight constantly, how do you think your bowels are feeling? They're like, oh my God, is she up or down? Do we hold it into all this or do we let it all go? What are we doing right now? And so we can really see improvements in the digestive system around that 3 to 6 week mark too. Something else we notice is improvements in the immune system. Your immune system's housed in your digestive system, right? About 85% of it's in your gut. So if we're going to help to work and repair the intestinal tract, we're definitely going to help to repair that immune system as well too, which is very important. But something I'm super excited about, this is like my favorite study of all times, is the one about the cardiovascular system, the entire vascular system. We can see that at the 6 week mark, not the 2, not the 4, not the 5, but the 6 week mark. And you guys remember these clinical studies are done with people. Not petri dishes, but people, real people in these studies, monitoring them on many different levels. Like I said, go to that website. You'll see we're looking at microscopy. We're looking at EEGs, EKGs, echoes. We're looking at neurofeedback, biofeedback, and well, you name it, we're looking at it with all the systems in the body. But at 6 weeks, we can see a dramatic improvement in the entire vascular system. We can see that it's functioning 8 weeks younger. So every 6 weeks using the patch, we can see an improvement in the functionality of the vascular system, the heart, by 8 weeks. So what does that mean for longevity? We know number one killer, especially for women, is heart disease, right? And so keeping that heart very healthy is really important for all of us. We only get one of them. And so if we can keep that heart young and healthy, and we've had countless testimonials from people that have shown improvements in their blood pressure. We were just talking about blood pressure a minute ago, weren't we, Laura and Andy? We were talking about that. We've had just so many improvements in people with their blockages in their heart and with the functionality, their ejection fraction. And so we can see, we can monitor people. You guys go to your doctors, right? You have blood work, you have tests done. And so we can monitor those things and show improvements in our systems. And obviously we did through our clinical studies as well too. So a question that you guys are probably thinking is, well, what if I'm on medications? There are 0 contraindications with any medications that you are currently using. We're not putting anything into the body. This is wearable light technology. So nothing is going in. So there are no interactions with what you are putting into your body, whether you're ingesting it or using a patch. Does that make sense? But I will share with you, if you are using chemotherapy or radiation, those 2 things kill all things inside the body, right? And so you would not want to use your stem cell activation patch on the day that you're taking chemo or receiving radiation because it's pointless. You're going to waste your money, right? Because it's going to kill off the new cells that are being made. The other thing is, if you happen to have a foreign organ in your body, meaning have you had a heart transplant or a kidney transplant or a lung transplant? And I don't mean foreign hardware, Laura's got a hip replacement, right? How many of you guys have stents, or you have pacemakers, or you have knee replacements, or you have rods or screws in your body, right? Those things are perfectly okay. But if you have someone else's organ, you're on some serious immunosuppressant drugs, you would not want to utilize the stem cell activation patch at all. So those are two little caveats. Otherwise, if you're on any medications for anything, like I said, please check with your healthcare professional or your doctor. Take them the information, please. See if it's something they want to share with their clients, their patients as well too. But know that we don't have any interactions with any medications or supplements that you're doing, or any therapies. A lot of you that are into holistic therapies, this works fabulously with what you're currently doing to help your body to get back into balance. So no need to worry about any of that. With that being said, I am going to read through our chat real quick. We had a couple questions right out of the gate, and then please let me know what questions you guys have. You can either type them or you can unmute yourself. So first question was, what are the mental health benefits of X39? I remember, Laura, do you remember the lady that came up? She was just, I don't know how old she was. I would guess she's maybe in her 50s. And she was dancing and twirling and singing. And she had shared with us that she had suffered from severe anxiety and depression and bipolar, and was completely, had shut herself out from the entire world. And this was last year when Laura and I went to hear David Schmidt, the inventor of this technology, speak for the first time. And we had heard all kinds of physical testimonials. We'd heard people with heart problems and paralysis and strokes and surgeries and Parkinson's and MS and everything else physical, which Laura and I were in tears. We could not believe what we had heard. But then this lady comes up and she said, someone needs to address the benefits of this X39 stem cell activation patch on our mental capacities, because this is what it's done for me. Physically, she said, I had no problems. But mentally, I was a mess from trauma, PTSD, everything you can imagine. And she said, now I have my life back. Now I'm happy. I'm not suicidal. I get out of the house. I'm a totally different person. Laura, are you crying? She's crying. No, you wiped your eyes. I was like, oh, is she crying?
No,
we were
no.
last year. We were crying. We were covered in chills listening to these people talk.
It was crazy. 30 years she was on antidepressants, and she was still in that deep, dark hole until she started the patch.
Yeah. So we have used this technology over the last 14, almost 15 months now to help people mentally, physically, and emotionally. So it definitely helps, because first thing people notice is just a general sense of well-being. You know, I had a lady share with me, she goes, I don't know why, but now I actually want to fold the laundry in the laundry basket. Like, I actually feel like I want to do something productive. And I don't know what's different. I can't put my finger on it, but something is different that I want to actually do this. And I haven't. And I've only used this patch for a few days. I'll never forget that. That was last December. I was like, I never thought about that. Like, laundry is just something you don't have a choice to do. You just have to do it. But she had not been doing it. So definitely, yes, benefits on the mental body, of course. Nerve damage. So yes, we know that nerve damage it takes time to repair. Do we have clinical studies on it? We don't have clinical studies, remember, on any type of disease or disorder, but we have seen, and you can go to our, whoever invited you, I'm not for sure who KND51 is, but whoever invited you can go to our Telegram channel. We have over 3,000 recorded testimonials, and they can type in nerve damage or neuropathy, nerve pain. You can type in several different keywords and probably find hundreds of different personal recorded testimonials from people sharing their experience from nerve damage. But yes, it will definitely help with that. Absolutely. I would also look at not only the X39, but I would also look at Eon and the IceWave. IceWave will help with pain if there's pain in the area. So it will definitely, it gets rid of pain on the spot. So I would look at that too. Yeah, Eon is our happy patch. Absolutely. If the patches are healing your body, wouldn't you need to reduce your medications? So that's a great question. So first of all, we don't ever use the word healing. I'm actually going to talk about this next week at conference because nothing heals, right? Cures or treats. So repairing or restoring or regenerating the body, rejuvenating the body. So yes, if you are on medications, please stay in very close contact with your physician, because we are finding that people are able to reduce the amount of medication that they're on and even come off of the medications. I know Lee and I were out in Brownwood last year, Texas, and working with someone on her team, and she had been on antidepressants and had been on several different anxiety medications and different things, has had bad tremors for forever, 20 plus years. And she was able to, with her doctor, titrate down. And by the time we met her a couple months later, she was actually off of everything, which is fantastic. But definitely, yes, work with your physician on that. What about someone that has a view valve in them? Samantha, I'm not for sure what a view valve is, or if that's a typo. If you could elaborate on that, that would be fantastic. So for diabetes, we actually—
Well, of course, I'm driving. I meant to say cow valve. I'm sorry. I was trying to say a cow valve inside of her, and you said things like foreign other.
Okay, a cow valve, a cow. So like as in the heart, as in the cow. So what I would do, Samantha—
they're not, it wouldn't work.
Hang on one
for
second.
them. So like, would she be out of the picture? Be able
I muted her, but she's still going. I think it's her service where she's at. Okay, so as far as a cow valve, I don't know how she is still talking if it's muted, but I would definitely consult with your physician on that, because it is another mammal,
like
animal. Yeah, hang on one second. Let's see if we can pop her out of there so maybe she can pop back in. Okay, so whoever invited Samantha, get back with her and let her know that she needs to check with her physician, because a cow is a mammal, obviously, and I would want them to check with them first to go over her history and what's going on with her. So diabetes. So looking at diabetes, we're looking at the pancreas, we're looking at the organs in the body. So patch wise, you would look at the X39, the Eon, and the carnosine and SP6. So carnosine is a patch, it's an antioxidant. It works fantastic with the specific, with pancreas and blood sugar. And looking at SP6, it's a patch that works with our endocrine system and our organs in our body. So those would be the 4 patches I would use when you're looking at someone that has blood sugar issues. What would be the best for someone who just had a stroke? So when we look at the brain, we look at X39, we look at Eon, and we look at carnosine. I just mentioned carnosine for blood sugar. Carnosine loves to hang out in the brain as well. It balances left brain cognition, left brain, right brain, improves communication. So I would also look at X49 because X49 has massive benefits in the brain as well too. So those 4 patches looking at the brain. Dr. Troy, there was a conference that Laura and I went to last year with David. But we do have, no worries, Nancy, no problem. It's okay. I just want to make sure everybody knows we're not healing anything. But yeah, we do have a conference next week. So next week in Orlando, Florida is a conference that is sponsored by the company. And that conference will be in Orlando, and a bunch of us are going to be there. So that's the conference I was referring to. So my friend just told me on Friday that she's been patching her dad and doctor just reduced his blood pressure medication. That's fantastic to hear. Yay. That's always a good sign, right? And then for my guest, Sally, ask approximately how long the patches take for energy, feeling, and sleeping better. Okay. So time-wise, I cannot give you a set amount of time, of course, like I said, but I can tell based on studies that most people within that 3 to 6 week mark experience a deeper REM sleep, a more of a better quality of sleep within that 3 to 6 week mark using the X39. You can also use the silent nights. Clinical studies on that show around the first 7 to 10 days an improvement about 67% of the people. Of course, the longer that you use them, they're working with your circadian rhythm, your melatonin, your serotonin. So definitely the longevity of that's going to improve it. But as far as time-wise, I always like to refer that 3 to 6 weeks. If you sleep better before that, that's fantastic. As far as energy, so the energy enhancer patches are used for stamina and endurance and energy. It is not like an energy drink or a cup of coffee. Okay, and there are different locations to apply the patches, and each one works with different acupuncture points. And so they elicit different forms or feelings of energy for different people because we're all different. So for example, we were Zooming last week and someone was talking about the spot on the wrist. They didn't feel any energy from it. They didn't feel any energy from the spot on the chest. But when they put the patches below their knees, they were like, wow, crazy amounts of energy. And I'm like, well, I've never experienced that, but I always use this spot inside of the ankles. I love it because we know the energy enhancer turns over the lymphatic system. It makes me feel like my toes don't get chunky by the end of the day. If you guys know what that feels like, I don't know, I do. But you know how at the end of the day, your toes feel fatter than they do in the morning. You're like, ah. So I like to put the energy enhancer down behind the insides of the ankles. But as far as time-wise, you should notice a stamina and endurance and energy, even from the X39, but from the energy enhancer within, again, that first 3 to 6 weeks, right? So just got our first order patches a couple of days ago, tried the LifeWave on your husband for back pain. He had a few weeks, it worked within seconds. Yay, pain level went from a 6 to 1. That's fantastic. That is our LifeWave, I love it. Does the biophotonic communication exchange indicate that patches reflect different frequencies to each individual person depending on their own frequencies? No, that's a great question. No. So the way this works is we are light, no matter what your energy level is or your frequency of your body, because we know we are all different frequencies. Like everything is energy and everything is measurable. Every single food, every single substance, whether it's water or dandelion root tea or whatever it is, everything, essential oils, everything has its own frequency and energy that can be measured. But this patch works on the inside at our cellular level. And so when we put the patch on, it doesn't matter what our energy or frequency is. Our body's light. We all emit a low-level infrared light. We all do. And that's what's communicating with the lattice that's in the patch. And so that communication takes place inside. It's just like if you pictured, obviously it's dark now, but if you go outside during the day, like for example, Katana, it's still daytime. You can see the sun coming in, right? There she is, brand new manager. But she's got the sun coming in. So that sunlight is hitting her skin, a specific wavelength of light is hitting her skin, and it's increasing her vitamin D inside of her body. So it doesn't matter what's happening to her, right? It doesn't matter what's happening in her world, her level of energy or frequency or vibration. That sun, the specific wavelength of light is increasing her vitamin D when it hits her skin. So when we put this patch in, we're the baby suns, right? When we put the patch in, we're the mini suns. Our light, doesn't matter what it is, reflects back a signal from this patch, increasing our stem cell production. But that's a fantastic question, Andy. So someone else has asked, wear the patch for 12 hours, can reuse the patch? A customer asked. That's a great question. And the answer is no. And the reason why is after 12 hours, that lattice starts to dissipate. So it no longer is communicating with your body. So that's why we take it off and we throw it away. And then the next day we grab a new one and we put on a brand new one, because that lattice is intact. The lattice is made up of these components I told you, the organic amino acid, salt, sugar, water, oxygen. That makes a stereoisomer. Stereoisomers are very different from regular isomers. They form together in specific formations. They dissipate over time. And so you wear the patch for 12 hours, you take it off, you throw it away. You do it again the next day. Right? Brand new, full, vibrant, strong, sturdy stereoisomers in place. And your body communicates with that throughout the 12 hours. You take it off and throw it away. Okay. You don't want to leave it on longer than 12 hours. It's not going to hurt you. You're not going to turn into a pumpkin. You'll be perfectly fine. You're just going to have to wait 24 hours before you patch again. But you don't want to wear it longer because it's like the light, right? These lights that are in my room right now, if I left them on all the time nonstop, they're going to burn out faster. And so they're not going to be as effective. And the same thing for us. If we leave that patch on longer than 12 hours, it's not going to hurt you, but you're not going to get the benefits. Your body's going to be like, oh God, she's doing this again for another 4 days. Like, seriously, we're not even going to communicate. Your body stops communicating. It needs that 12 hours on, take it off, rest, repair, 12 hours off. And again, this is based on clinical studies, right? David has done over 90 studies. So we're not going to go against science, well, in this situation. Wow, that was a loaded statement. But based on these clinical studies and research, we know that that is the most effective way to use these patches. My friend used the X39, left the patch on for a few hours past the 12. It's totally fine. So she said she had high pain in her shoulder, stopped, and when she removed it, have I heard of this before? Not leaving it on more than 12 hours to cause pain, no. But it may just be that her body was like, I'm done, I'm done. But I would just have her do it again and just stick with that 12-hour window. Stomach last week went totaling hard. I thought it was a recurrence of hernia near my belly button. My stomach felt like Mike Tyson has pounded my stomach. Went to the hospital. They did a CAT scan. My gallbladder was full of gallstones and cysts on the kidney. Can the patches help clean out the gallbladder rather than doing purified salts? I'm 69 years young. That's fantastic. So basically, when we're looking at helping to clean things out of the body that are not there, whether it's any type of toxins or buildup of anything, we would definitely use the X39, the Eon, but also the glutathione. Glutathione is the master antioxidant. It's the master detoxer, and it's the master immune booster. And so having the glutathione patch on for 12 hours, it actually increases your own body's glutathione level by 300%. And it sustains it for a 24-hour period after you take it off. And so that is giving you full antioxidant protection and support and being able to help to detox and cleanse out the things in your body that are not beneficial. So we can look at some possible different protocols and things like that, but using those 3 patches, and I would also look at the carnosine and the SB6, just because you're talking about organs, right? The gallbladder, the kidney, you're talking about systems in your body. And so looking at those 2 patches to help support would be fantastic as well too. All right, what other questions do you guys have? You can unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. We got 53 of you on here right now, so I'm sure you guys have some questions. You're chomping at the bit.
Dr. Stacy, this is David again. I just had that last question.
Yes.
What I'd like to ask you about is probably a good 15 years ago. I live up near Toronto, Canada, and I had a bunch of people, like I had a series on stem cells with a bunch of doctors. It was about a 9-hour series. There's a whole bunch of us that were all gung-ho to start doing stem cell treatment. Canadian government stepped in and banned said doctors cannot do stem cell anymore. People had to go to Europe if they wanted to do any stem cell treatment. How is this is that in that group, like where a doctor it's not supposed to be done anymore? Or it's been a long time since that came out. Now I see you've got quite a group here, etc. And I've researched it a lot, and I do frequency healing, I do all kinds of different things, but I always knew that stem cells would be the best, especially for my age as I got older. Now my modalities are great. I haven't had as much as a cold in 2 years or more. And, this recently just happened. Now I have no energy. I had a knee replacement. And it's clicking away more. It goes on and on. I got pain from, all these things started to happen in the last month or two. So is it legal first of all, up in Canada?
Okay, so good. I was just listening to everything you were saying, taking it all in. I'm going to answer you in order from back to front. Yes, it is legal in Canada. So this is very different than traditional stem cell therapies. Now, I've only been researching stem cells for 20 years. I banked both of my kids' cord blood after I had watched a program when I was pregnant with my daughter about using donor cord blood to cure African-American children of sickle cell anemia. And I was blown away. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. You can literally save these children's lives by giving them someone's cord blood that was going to be thrown away anyways at birth. Wow, that's impressive. And they went on to share how they were using the cord blood in science and in research and effectively in people to be able to help them with diabetes and heart disease and cancer and strokes and Alzheimer's and dementia. I'm like, wow, that's impressive. Turned the TV off, never thought another thing about it, received a postcard, remember those things, in the mail the next week from a company called Viacord, wanting to see if I would be interested in receiving more information by mail about banking my child's cord blood. And so, of course, I filled it out, mailed it back, and sure enough, they sent me a packet. And on I went into researching stem cells. I ended up spending about almost 15 years with my daughter. I'm doing all different types of holistic therapies and treatments and modalities after she had been in the hospital at age 4 from a misdiagnosis of cancer and brain bleed and code and coma, whole thing. We were there for a year. My point is we spent a big chunk of that last 15 years doing traditional and non-traditional types of stem cell therapy in and out of the country. And so in the country, you can take your blood, you can spin it in a machine, and they can give it back to you, right? That was very common. When she was in the hospital, a lot of those kids, they pulled their blood out, spun it to get the stem cells, froze it. After they went through cancer treatment, they gave them back their stem cells to help their body to repair and heal and regenerate faster from the effects of chemotherapy. And so that's been widely used. In our country today, people are getting donor stem cells from cord blood and getting their own, stem cells back for injections in their knees and their backs and their shoulders and things like that. We've been out of the country doing stem cell therapy. We've had laser directed stem cell therapy from Germany. We've been down to Mexico and done stem cell therapy. And so we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in different types of stem cell therapies. When I found this technology last year, I had obviously not heard of a patch that would signal your body to make more of its own stem cells, pluripotent stem cells, right, which can turn into any cell, tissue, or organ. But very quickly after I read the research and the data and listened to David, and then of course a few days later I actually went to meet him and hear him in person, not just on video, I saw obviously the benefits widely of the different types of things that people were dealing with and how this patch, this technology was helping them physically, mentally, emotionally as well. And so this is not putting anything into the body. This is not an injection. This is not a donor cell. This is not a foreign aborted fetal cell. This is not your own cells, old, that are being put back into your body. This patch signals your body to increase and activate, elevate its own stem cell production. And at that time, it's up-regulating, resetting your genes. A third of the genome is figured out immediately. And we know genes express to 1 or 2 other genes. And so when you put the patch on, it's automatically increasing your stem cell production. Dormant stem cells, right now at 69, you may have 1 or 2% of stem cells even active in your system, in your bloodstream, right? If a doctor were to pull your blood and look for stem cells, they would barely see anything, because that's just part of the aging process. And so we can signal your body to make more of its own, wake up those dormant stem cells, mobilize them, turn them new again by upregulating them, right? Upregulating the genes and saying, hey, let's go back to work again like you did when you were young. We literally can see in the technology that you can stop the aging process in the body. And because of increasing your own stem cell production, you can reverse your aging process, age reversal back to age 25. And David says with this technology, I know it sounds far-fetched, but he says we can live to be 250 years old. 150 seems very doable, right? We know the oldest people on the planet live in the blue zones. They're upwards of 120, right? Some older than that, because of obviously the 9 core principles that they live by. But part of that, is their genes are reset constantly, right, to that younger, youthful state. Their glutathione level is elevated. The oldest people on the planet have the highest level of glutathione. And so if we can, with a simple patch, a little Band-Aid technology, David's figured out how to signal every single person's stem cells to come back on board, to wake up and to become young and youthful again, to be able to repair and regenerate the body. Wow, right? But that's where we're living, like literally living. David is a modern day Tesla. He's an inventor, he's a scientist, he's a researcher, he lives in the lab, and he lives to help people have a better quality of life. And so this technology, even though it's 20 plus years in the future, it's here right now. It just came out on the market 3 years ago. And trust me, the medical community is trying to figure out, I don't know if you guys have read Tony Robbins' book, Life Force. They're trying to figure out medically how to signal the Wnt pathway, which is what increases your stem cells in your body. Well, they can't figure it out yet because it's a medicine. They're trying to medically do something to the body, right? And don't get me wrong, that book's packed full of incredible medical technologies that are on the cutting edge of being, shown and shared with the public. At what price, I don't know, but I do know that the price of this is a cup of coffee a day. And so this is very effective, simple, easy, and affordable for every single person on this planet to get their hands on, to help them have a better quality of life and the life that you have here. So with that, David, I want to make sure you understand we are very different than your traditional stem cell therapy and things that happened 50 years ago. But also we're open in Canada. We are open in 81 countries. We have 5 corporate offices and 12 distribution centers around the globe. There is a distribution center in Brampton, which is in Canada. So in the United States, we ship to the US, right? But outside of the United States, we utilize our outside distribution centers, and we have different facilities, like I said, corporate offices. So all of our patches are made here in the US and San Diego, but like, for example, Europe's patches are all made in Ireland in their massive warehouse and lab and distribution center. And so that services, our friends over the pond, and you can go into, South Africa, they have their own warehouse and distribution center all the way around the globe. So we're definitely a global company helping people on a global scale. So did I answer all of your questions?
Pretty much. Just got one more out that you mentioned Brampton. Brampton's like 15 minutes away from here.
Yeah.
And that's great. Now, can you wear like multiple patches at one time, or do you have to slowly put them on?
No, you absolutely can. The first time Laura and I met David, he had 12 on. And we're like, what are all of them? You don't even know this exists. Only 12 exist. He had a lot of what he called experimental patches on that were in clinical studies. Obviously, now we know one of them was X39. But yes, you can wear multiple patches at the same time. The only thing is you cannot wear the Silent Nights or the Aloe Vita at daytime, because those are specifically designed for nighttime, right?
Yeah,
Silent Nights is for sleeping. Aloe Vita repairs our body, our skin, and it reduces oxidative stress and lengthens the telomeres. So it works with the pineal gland, the epithelium peptide in your pineal gland. So it's a patch for at nighttime. But otherwise, everything can be worn during the day, and you can wear as many patches as you want.
Okay, last question, everybody. I won't say anymore. I even though I'm 69, I have a son that's 16. He just turned 16. He's like 6'3", 170 pounds, works out all the time. He's an elite goalie. He's just finished a camp with the director of goaltending with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's doing really well for himself, and he really works hard. He was in the gym yesterday, came down on a bar, and it hit the back of his neck. Mm-hmm. So we had to go about an hour's drive to go to a goalie training. He only lasted 20 minutes, and the trainer could see that he was in a lot of pain, and he stopped it, and he says, you better do something about that first. So I've got physiotherapy lined up for him, et cetera, et cetera. He's just joined he got drafted by a junior A team at 16. We got 3 weeks before we start our season, and he's going to be one of the goalies there. Can these patches put on him? Can they, like, I did read a story about somebody had a spinal thing, got repaired very quickly. With this, he's young, so would it help him like a lot to get these patches on him on his, like at the spine at the top?
Yeah, I would use the X39, the Eon, and the carnosine. Those three. When my son's 17, and when he sprained his ankle in basketball, and when he split his lip open in basketball, those are the patches that we use to repair his body very, very quickly.
Okay.
What was supposed to be 2 weeks on crutches, we had him off crutches in 24 hours, back on the court in 7 days, and dunking 2 weeks later. So I would definitely, he already has stem cells on board. Obviously, his body's going to work to repair right now, but I would give it that bump. And what I did with my son was I multi-patched, which means I used, on his ankle, I used 3 X39, 3 Eon, and 3 carnosine every day for 7 days. On his lip, for that cut that was long and deep and wide, I used 2 X39, 2 Eon, and 2 carnosine every day for 7 days. So you don't want to multi-patch on a daily basis. You're not getting enough benefit. That extra little, like 20% is not worth the patch to multi-patch. But if you're looking at an acute injury, like when Laura came out of her hip replacement last year, right after we found this technology, I instructed her husband, she was still like basically, out with anesthesia. You put 2 patches on this side, 2 X39 here, 2 Eon here, and you do this every single day for her, changing them every 12 hours, double patch her on everything. And so when you have an acute injury, you can use multi-patches to really kind of speed up that healing process that's going on inside the body already by patching multiple of the same patches on a consistent basis for, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Dr. Troy said, any report of environmental allergies, what is the best patch for them? So environmental, I don't know if you mean like EMFs, I would use X39, X49. And I would also use glutathione, of course, for that, definitely to help to remove any of those toxins. Eon would help with that as well, too.
Actually, I'm talking about like pollen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So those type of allergies. Okay. Yeah. So then definitely the X39 Eon, right? Getting rid of all inflammatory markers, your C-reactive proteins, your cytokines, your lipids, your fibrinogen, things like that, reducing all of that, but also using the glutathione would be very beneficial as well. Lymphedema. So lymphedema, we actually utilize always X39 and Eon. Energy enhancer. So I did this last week. I was talking to somebody about you having, edema in different parts of the body, right? We talk about the lymphatic system. We talk about energy enhancer because it turns that over. So I was talking about a protocol using 3 sets of the energy enhancer on specific acupuncture points in the body. So I thought, I'm going to try it myself. I'm going to see what it did. So I literally think I sat on the toilet and peed all day long. I'm sorry, that may be TMI, but I've literally urinated all day long. So we could definitely get the fluid moving through the body using those acupuncture points. I just wanted to see what it would do. But it was definitely like taking a Lasix. That's how I would relate it, but with no side effects, right? You don't have to worry about your potassium or anything like that. So yeah, definitely, Kim, get with whoever invited you and they can share with you those locations on the energy enhancer for edema if you're interested. So someone battling CS, can that help with patches? So tell me what you're talking about with CS. Are you, my brain.
Sickle cell. She meant sickle cell anemia.
Okay, that's what I was like, what is CS? We were talking about a stroke earlier. Okay, sickle cell anemia. So whenever I watched that show 20 years ago, I was talking about they were using cord blood to cure these children of sickle cell anemia. And that's because of the stem cells that was in the cord blood. We don't have any clinical studies using our patches with sickle cell anemia children. So I definitely don't want to say that, but I do know that using the X39 stem cell activation patch signals your body to make more of its own stem cells. And that would of course be beneficial in any situation, right? Do I feel that banking cord blood has become obsolete now that we have this new phototherapy for stem cell activation? Yeah, you banked we donated Taylor's blood when she turned 18, her cord blood, for research, right? I don't know that I necessarily say it's obsolete, because I feel like I don't think it ever caught totally on the way it really could, because I think there became so much controversial with, aborted fetal cells and what's in it, and people weren't for sure, and people were thinking about cloning and all this stuff. So it kind of got crazy far out there. I feel like there's still benefits for it. I absolutely do. There are people that can benefit. And do I feel like this technology is easier, faster, more affordable? Yeah, definitely. 100% more effective. I remember when we were looking at giving Taylor back her cord blood after we got out of the hospital, Duke University was going to they were doing a clinical study research on kids that had had traumatic brain injuries, and she had had one while she was in the hospital. And they ended up not allowing her in the study because of the fact that they had diagnosed her with a couple different kinds of cancers. And they said, well, that cancer could be in her cord blood. And we're like, she was diagnosed with an adult leukemia, AML, acute, not something you're born with, when she was 4.5. That's what they ended up finally saying she had, which she never had to begin with anyways. But as far as being able to use it, from what I learned then from other types of stem cell therapy, there's not a lot in the cord blood. So it really depends on how much you get. I know one of the things in Tony Robbins' book is looking at the placental matrix and being able to use that to help people in a whole different level. But again, you're talking like to get into Tony Robbins' Life Center, his Fountain Life Center down in Naples. There, he's got, I think, 5 or 6 of them now around the country. It's $20,000 to walk in the door for a consultation. So I don't know about you, but this is $2.50. You just put it on and you drink your water and you go about your day and you take it off 12 hours later. So that's a big difference. There are not many people that are going to drop 20 grand without even having a treatment done. That's just to get in the door for their diagnostics. So price-wise, effective, affordable, that's what I'm sticking with. So someone going through chemotherapy, I had mentioned that earlier, Amy. I'm not for sure if you heard that part or not, but when you are taking chemotherapy medications, or if you're doing radiation, those things kill everything in the body, right? That's why your white blood count goes to nothing, your ANC is nothing, like you have nothing. Unfortunately, I've been there. So you would not use the patches on the days that you are receiving chemotherapy, because they're killing everything. So there's no point in trying to increase your stem cell production. Now, when you're done with chemotherapy, say you're on chemo today, can you patch tomorrow? Yes. If you're not taking chemo tomorrow or doing radiation tomorrow, yes. Does the carnosine help conserve the length of the telomeres? Yes, it absolutely does. Yep. So Alavita lengthens telomeres and carnosine protects the telomeres that you currently have. Telomeres are the little end caps. They look like little erasers on the end of your chromosomes. So if you kind of picture when you use an eraser and when it's gone, like that means your cells are no longer dividing. And then that's where you see cell death. And that eventually is where you see death of the person, when their telomeres are gone. And so being able to protect them is very important. And carnosine does that. Carnosine is an antioxidant that our body makes anyways. It just declines as we age, just like the glutathione. So increasing your carnosine, of course, like I said earlier, it helps with your organs, it helps with your muscles, with your tissues, your ligaments, your tendons. It helps with your brain, your heart, and it does protect those telomeres. So what patch would help with asthma? So looking at the breathing system, right? The lungs, we're going to support the lungs with the X39. We're going to support the lungs with the Eon. We're also going to look at the carnosine as well too. And depending on what's going on with the person, I would really look at the asthma, the energy enhancer up on the lung points that are right up in here. Specifically, and possibly even the SP6, but definitely I would look at X39 Eon, glutathione, energy enhancer. Parkinson's, progressive. So we again, looking at different systems in the body, there's a lot to Parkinson's because, you know, it's different for everybody. It's like autism and MS. There's no one set fibromyalgia. There's no one set, you know, this is it. This is what your symptoms are. And this is, you have it varies per person. And so when we look at what are we talking about neurologically, we're in the brain, we're going to look at X39. We're going to look at Eon. We're also going to look at carnosine, of course. We're going to look at some ice wave and some energy enhancer and glutathione as well. And so we're going to look at these different patches and using them at different times and different locations. So all of our clinical studies were done with the patches on specific acupuncture points. And so when we use the different points, they help the different systems in the body. And so when you look at something that's neurological, we could also even look at Nirvana. Nirvana is a fantastic patch that works with the neurotransmitters and neurohormones in the brain. So Amy, I would get with the person that invited you here, you know, their upline, and we could have a conversation about that to see kind of what symptoms the person's experiencing. You know, I Zoomed with a lady yesterday and with Leah, and she was talking about her husband, you know, he had some tremors, and that was really the only symptom that he had. Where then I've worked with other people, you know, I've Zoomed with them, and it's like, the list is long. So we definitely need to have a little bit more, but we're almost out of time. So I would get back and we'll have a conversation separately. And then let's see, have there been studies of people who have had organ transplants using the X39? Okay, so that's a patch that we are not going to use if we have had an organ in our body that is not ours. So X39 signals your body to make more stem cells. Those stem cells are yours, right? When you go and put a foreign organ in your body, you're going to be on major immunosuppressant drugs so your body doesn't reject that organ and it fails, right? That's the whole point. And so you're not going to use any type of stem cell therapy with an organ in your body that's not yours. So yes, you would definitely want to avoid using the X39 if you've had that. Is the transplant patient, should they avoid phototherapy due to the patches effects on the immune system? Yeah, that's something you would definitely they would talk to their physician about and see. So like, for example, Silent Nights, it works with our melatonin, right? And our serotonin levels, and it works to help us sleep. Could that be something that would be beneficial for someone that had an organ transplant? Possibly, but I would definitely not want to, you know, recommend that or say that. They would definitely need to take the information to their physician just because of that, you know, having a foreign organ in their body. Any results for chronic Lyme disease? 2 of my customers are suffering from. So Lyme's disease is like fibromyalgia, MS, Parkinson's. It's like not one cookie cutter thing, unfortunately. And so we have to, again, go back to the basics of X39, Eon, right? Reducing inflammation, increasing our stem cell production, looking at detoxification, which is going to be our glutathione and our carnosine, our big antioxidants. And then also supporting that lymphatic system, which is our drainage system that gets things out of the body. With the energy enhancer, we've got to move the stuff out. Do you guys realize that a lot of people, their lymphatic system is just so sluggish, the majority of people? And so because of that, then you're not eliminating the toxins and the fat and the harmful things inside of the body. So exercise, of course, we know increases your lymphatic system. That's why it's so important to get moving, right? Get that movement going. But being able to use the energy enhancer to help move that lymphatic system through your system and move those things out is going to help you feel better in all things that you're dealing with. But we would start with those patches. But for Lyme's disease, we do have a specific, and this goes for really any more detailed fibromyalgia and Parkinson's and all of that. We have a specific protocol. It's a detox protocol, and it uses, this is just your basic elementary chart, right? Down this way, down this, over this way. But you use these 3 different patches during the day on those acupuncture points. You use these 3 patches at night on those acupuncture points. And then we come down here to day 2 and we're on different body parts, right? Day and night. And so you can run yourself through a series of 5 days, 10 days, even up to 30 days, depending on if it's just a regular, you know, detox, like for example, the Lyme's disease, Or if you want to look at, we talked about Parkinson's a second ago. We have a detox with a brain balancing protocol that we can utilize as well too. So just get back with the person, Kit. I think you're with Kimberly and Leah. They can, we can have a more detailed conversation with you about this detox protocol to be able to help you or your client to be able to utilize that to help them start to see some, benefits of getting rid of the toxins, because there's a buildup in the body, right? Whether it's from heavy metals or parasites or foods or environmental conditions, or maybe a combination of all of the above. There's a buildup of toxicity in the body, which is causing this. I was talking to the same man yesterday. I was sharing with you about the Parkinson's that just had the barely little bit of tremor in his hand. That was his only symptom, but the doctor said he had Parkinson's and he needed all these medicines. He was like, I don't think so. Give me some other alternatives to do things holistically. Well, we were talking about how can he possibly have this? He eats so clean and healthy. They have gardens, the animals they grow right there on the farm. And, everything is just, he's never smoked. He's never drank. He works in the farm. He's exercising. How could he possibly have this? And I said, well, my question is, what environmental toxins are you exposed to on a daily basis? You're telling me you're on a farm, you're running heavy equipment, but what are you touching? What are you coming in contact with? Your skin's your largest organ, right? And I said, when's the last time you changed the oil in that, excavator out back, or that, skid steer? And he said, well, I changed that on, this regular basis, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, when's the last time you changed your oil in your body? And he's like, what? I'm like, when did you change? When have you changed the oil? When have you detoxed out the old sludge to make room for the new? And he's like, well, I've never done a detox. And I'm like, and here's part of our problem. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year of buildup of toxicities, whether it's from any of those or all of those, our body needs to get some of that out of our system, right? We need those toxins out, which is why the glutathione is very important. And we know toxins are held in our fat cells, and we know inflammation hangs out around those fat cells, protecting all that, saying, you're not leaving, you've got to detox, we've got to get rid of the inflammation before we can get rid of the fat, you got to get your body moving. It's just a cycle. It's just what happens. And so being able to detox your body, get the sludge out, do your oil change is going to help dramatically with anything and everything. And it's not a detox like put you on the toilet, I can't go to work, life stops. It's just stick these patches on these places at these times and you're going to be good to go. That's really what it boils down to. And then you can do it as long as you want, even up to 30 days, but you're still eating and drinking, right? Everything's good. Okay, I know we're going over a teeny bit, so let me answer these last couple things here. Your 90-year-old mom is on oxygen from prior COVID and PNA. Any idea? She has a pork heart valve. So again, having an animal part inside of her body, I would double check. David has never referenced someone that's had an animal, cow or pig, even though I know that's very common nowadays. I would double check with your physician first. And I'll ask that question when I see David next Thursday, because he's never mentioned that in anything I've ever heard. So I'll ask him personally when I see him. Where'd you get your spiral notebook? Are they available to buy? I'm a new distributor. So Victoria, I'm not for sure who invited you here tonight, but definitely get back with that person. The notebook is something that we utilize in our business and our practice when we have a practice where we are practitioners and we work with clients and customers. So it's not just something that we sell to anybody that is a distributor with the company, because we really want to make sure that you have an understanding of the body and the systems and how things work, because we're not treating or diagnosing people. So I'm not really for sure who you are yet. I'm excited to meet you, but get back with that person that introduced you to this, their upline director or senior director, and they'll be able to answer that question. And maybe you do have a practice, maybe you are a practitioner, but just let us know so we can be able to direct you correctly on that. And then as far as last couple questions, testimonials with parasites, yes, we can find those on the YouTube channel. So Lori just asked if you're not in the Telegram, no, I'm sorry, YouTube. If you're not in the Telegram channel, then have whoever invited you, I think Andy get you in the Telegram channel so you can search for parasites. Shelf life to the patches is 2 years. Of course, don't ever leave them in the heat. They're fine in your house. Don't leave them in your car. Friend had leg surgery, X39 carnosine for sure. Jody, okay, perfect. Victoria, get with Jody. Fantastic. All right, you guys. So thank you for being on here this evening. I appreciate all of your participation and your questions. I loved it. If there's something that you didn't get to ask, or if you want more guidance, get with the person that's in your upline. Ask them who your upline director, upline senior director, and above are. They will definitely be able to guide you in the right direction. I work very closely with Laura, who is a presidential director on my team, and all of my executive and senior directors. We are in contact every single day working together. So get back with them. They have the resources, the knowledge, the information, and also direct access to me 24/7. And so we all work together to make sure we help you achieve your success, which is helping you have a better quality of life. So thank you guys for being here. I will be uploading this tonight, and I'll be able to share it out on our pages so you can share with other people as well too. So thank you and have a fantastic